call the Board of Water and Wastewater Commissioners meeting to order for September 9th, 2025 at 11 a.m. We have Commissioner Goff, Commissioner Young, Commissioner Underwood, and myself, Noreen Donahue, so we have a quorum. So, our first order of business is the minutes from August 5th and August 19th of 2025.
I'll move we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so 4-0. Next, we have no abatements today, so I would ask the superintendent to give us an update on the Route 28 East Water Main Replacement Project.
I talked with Mark Pringle from GHD yesterday, and Mass DOT contacted them, and we will have some sort of comment from them on Tuesday, next Tuesday, and that will be September 16th. I'm hoping that they give us a permit.
So, I remember there were comments before and then back, so this is comments on the comments?
So this is comments from, yes, the
Okay.
comments. I guess that's what you can
Making
say.
sure the government is doing their job.
Yes,
You know?
yes. Yes. Comments on the comments.
All right, so, if we get a permit, will you send us an email maybe?
Absolutely.
You know, yeah, after all this time. I'm hesitant to believe it, but certainly hope it's true. Then this board can go back to talking about timing, schedule, outreach, and all of those topics again. So that would be great. Okay, next item on the agenda is our contract for painting the tank, the hydro pillar process. And at our last meeting, we got an update from the engineer. And prior to that, we signed the notice to award. So today, we're actually signing the contracts. I included in your packet was the meat of the contract. The contracts themselves are huge. So we would need 2 votes. The first would be the vote to sign the contract for $835,250.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so that's 4-0, and we'll sign those at the end of the meeting. The next thing we need to do is we have to vote to approve the notice to proceed, and that we will also sign at the end of the meeting. So the first was the vote on the contract itself, and this is the vote on the notice to proceed.
I'll move we approve.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. And just to summarize, for looking forward, once they get that notice to proceed, which will be emailed off, then they will start their planning, and they plan to actually start draining the tank on October 6th.
Okay.
And it will be a 2-month project, so it should be done the very beginning of December. Otherwise, they actually have penalties they pay us, but I don't think it will, that will have to happen. So by Christmas, we may have a nice new painted tank.
Can I ask a
Sure.
question? What happens with the water that comes out of the tank?
We do dechlorinate it.
And put it back in the ground? Just wondering if
Hi, Ed.
Yeah.
it makes sense to donate it to the Y for their pool or something? I don't know. No.
How would you get it there?
I don't know.
Right. Yeah,
Well, I mean, do
that's what
they
you
turn a
normally do.
spigot and it just goes into, no.
Yeah. You basically will put a diffuser on the hydrant.
Oh, and it
Dechlorinated
gets
that.
dechlorinated right on the site and then into the ground. Oh, okay, that's easy. Thank you.
Is that it?
That's I never would have thought of that question in a
I was
thousand years.
curious. 'Cause how long does it take to empty the tank then?
Well, we can use some of the water. What we'll do is we'll manipulate the height of it.
Yeah,
And then we won't let, it'll be, let's say it's 28 feet, maybe we can manipulate the height that it only fills up to 24, 23, and then we
slowly.
can
or
have that much.
something. Interesting. Okay.
And so if people want to go inside the tank,
Yes.
that's the time to do it.
My birthday's on the 6th, so we could have a little cake in
Oh,
there.
well.
Yeah,
Kidding.
okay.
I'm kidding.
Party,
Party in the tank.
some firecrackers.
So that's, at least we have, with all the delays we've had with Route 28, it's nice to see that project moving forward and all in time and under bid and all of those wonderful things. So we'll sign those documents at the end of the meeting. I see we just had somebody in, I don't know if you had public comment, Ed, I'm willing to give you that.
Not really, I just,
Okay.
I could, just briefly, the comprehensive plan committee has come to their final draft of it, so if you had, anybody had a chance to just go through and we're sort of looking more for, sort of copyright, wrong words or misspelled
Right.
words or those sorts of things, or if we got any of the data or figures wrong.
No, actually, I saw you last meeting.
Yeah.
And I saw you mention we were happy, which I appreciate
Yeah,
that
yeah.
characterization, because
Yeah.
that's true. And we had done all of our text edits last January and February.
Yeah.
But what I hadn't done, because it wasn't available then, was look at the capital section.
Okay,
So after that meeting, I did go through it, and it was really, you had captured everything. I
Okay.
mean, other than things like, move this to this year, and that wasn't really the spirit,
Yeah.
of the document. So what I did was I dashed off an email to Christine
good.
and
Okay.
told her that, it looked good to all of us, and that was it
Okay.
from us. And I mentioned that, you had stopped here on August 5th, and so.
Sure. Okay,
So check us off the list.
okay, and at some point, at the end of this year, beginning next year, we're planning on submitting it to town meeting next year. We'll make a formal request for your endorsement of the plan.
That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say, letters of support or
Yeah.
things like that. Give us a little time, we'll be happy to
Okay.
do
Great.
that.
Thank
So,
you.
good job. I mean, I can't imagine reading that entire report, it's
Wow.
difficult enough to read the sections we did, I did.
I think
Yeah.
when we all signed on to be on the committee, we figured maybe a year, 18 months. We're going on our 4th year.
Oh, boy.
One of our members have had
I
in their
saw.
family like 3 children.
Great.
Yeah.
So, okay, so, back out of public comment, the next item, I just want to make a note. For comprehensive plan, okay. Next item is the Exchange Park fountain that we've been talking about. And it's too bad Alan isn't here today, because Bob found out, and it's in the packet, the document from when this fountain was donated to the town, and he was a selectman at the time. And so that is, Tracy managed to blow it up. You'll see in your packet that this was donated, I forget the date, it's not on here, but it was somewhere in the 90s, mid-90s. And
I want to say 91, but.
yeah, it was part of the warrant, and it came from the Chase family. It was called the Chase Family Memorial Drinking Fountain at Exchange Park, incorporated with the Condit family contribution of the old watering trough. And that was the #1 thing on a list of several items of donations. Apparently, that's how they used to do it. Yes, it was 91, you're
Yeah.
right, there it is.
Yeah.
On the warrant, and At the time, on the select board who accepted this was a gentleman named Ruggles, Allen, Charles Schneiderhan, Sandra
Charlie.
Daniels,
Yeah,
and Shirley Gomes.
yeah.
So, we certainly have some history. So, I had some concerns about, whether doing this was the proper way to spend water revenue. And, a lot of that really comes down to your feeling. And personally, I feel that after a couple of months of hemming and hawing, I feel it is, in this day and age, a way to go. But, I'm not ready yet, unless the board wants to get into a program of doing, a bunch of them, unless we were to map that out that way. But this particular fountain that we've been talking about for a year or so came to us a different way. We actually, I looked back at our notes, and in July, this board voted to reconnect it. And it was after that the superintendent found out that it could not be reconnected. It was just too far gone, everything else. So given that, my feelings are, and I certainly want to hear everyone's, is that to go ahead with this year, I would be comfortable with that, because we cannot reconnect it, that we would install the one that we looked at one of our last meetings in a place suitable, suitability judged by the superintendent. So that's where I've come with this, and I'd be curious to hear how the board feels about this item.
I think that as a board of water commissioners, wastewater commissioners, it just speaks to part of our mission to make sure that the town is served clean drinking water. And I personally like that it ties in a lot of the history of the town and shows that the town has been providing drinking water for decades, if not longer. And I know that was always something that was part of my childhood, to use a public fountain like that. So I am absolutely, I think it's great, and I think it, it supports so many different aspects of the town and the people that are using the bike path.
Right.
Do you know, what a nice way, if they're from out of town, to learn more about the town and town center. And I don't think it's a very large amount of money, right? Because what's the total number?
6,000. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a minimal investment for a great return on investment, and for health, for the environment, for the tourism, for the history, and for our youth. And our senior citizens, like myself, that are out there walking, right?
And I didn't mention that the superintendent met with Eric Beebe, and they are going to take over the billing of the water, so that way we haven't, which is usually what happens, so that way we haven't altered any of the pattern of what the town's been doing. So I do feel that as we look forward to a way to continue this, that we should, map out some kind of a program during the year and think about whether we do 2 or 3 a year and put them in our budget. And, this one we can afford with our general budget, but
Great idea.
something that we'd be ready next May to talk about, maybe continue, and check out the ones that are there, whether they need repair, replacement, or if there's good locations for a new one.
And this one has for animals,
Yeah.
right, too, which is really, I think,
Yeah.
great today.
Well, if there's no more discussion, then I
I
would,
think our audience
oh, I'm
has something.
sorry, yes.
And
Ed.
be sure, as part of the installation, there's a nice little plaque that says,
Right.
water station provided by the Harwich Water and Wastewater.
Yeah,
Connection.
we will have to put signage on it,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Gotta get a little good.
Oh,
good-
yeah.
Good press out of it.
So, we've come this far, we had already voted to connect it, but we didn't vote to install a new one, so I think we should do that, so we're clear. So I would ask for a motion to install a fountain at Exchange Park.
Yes.
Okay, second?
Second.
All right,
Good, great.
yeah. Any further discussion? No, all in favor?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so that's
Can I just say
4-0.
one last thing? Thank you
Absolutely.
guys for that.
Thank you
So-
for doing all the research.
Well, you know, the other place that's a natural for one is probably Post Office Square with the World War II memorials.
Over at Dome Park, you mean?
Over
By the
by the post office, where they
down
do the art
Harwich
shows
Court?
and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's got all the World War
Yeah.
II memorial, the Vietnam War, all the benches
Oh,
are
yeah.
named, and it's got
Yeah.
water connection, but there's nothing, you know, when people are coming
Yeah.
in there's nothing for them to do. So if you did one a year or looked at,
Right.
you know, over the next few years, you pick different ones out.
Right.
It's
Well,
something to consider.
Right, no, I think so, and also we are gonna have to do a little legwork, you know, to identify the
Sure.
ones that are out there, and, with Tracy's help, she's given us a bunch of lists of,
Oh, did you?
different things, but some are like gardens and some of this, so we'll have to get it in shape for us, and, I mean, we'll wait and see. It'll be right in our budget, you know, I like it to be public, you know,
Yeah.
come next May, so that, you know, people understand that. You know, I come from the electric world, and there were really strict guidelines about what you could spend the revenue for and not, you know, it was controlled by the state, so I tend to veer on the conservative side, but we got there, it only took a year, Bob.
And a couple
First
pictures of
suggested it.
Jason.
Yeah, a couple of pictures, yeah.
Can I ask a follow-up
Absolutely.
question? In the research, if we were to buy like 6 of the systems, does that bring the cost down significantly? And you don't need to answer that if you don't know the information.
I'm
but-
unsure of that right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we can look
Yeah.
into that.
Okay, so, the next thing, and I'm sorry Alan wasn't here, but we can catch him up next time. So, I just want to frame this is our, you know, response to the Charter Commission's, request for input from, various boards and committees. And since we're one of the named boards in the charter, you know, some committees are named and some are not. And some departments are named and some are not. Judith, for full disclosure, is on the Charter Commission,
Yes.
so that works to our advantage.
And I did request, if at all possible.
I saw you.
On behalf.
Yes,
If,
yeah.
if our responses could go last, and everyone laughed, and they said, "Are you pushing us?" And I said, "No,
Yeah.
I'm just formally making a request that came to me. So you can put us first, last, whichever, but
Yeah.
I did make the request."
Right. So, at any rate, in our August 5th meeting, we had their request in our packet, and with our schedule at the time, it was agreed that I would send off a memo with some of the items that we had been discussing over a couple of years, just to get things going. And so I did, and that is in your packet. I do want to say, though, and I mean, this is wide open, I mean, personally, I don't really think like this board has to, you know, totally agree on everything, you know, because ultimately, this is decided by each resident in the voting box, you know,
Sure.
that's who are the deciders of this. And I do think it's important, I mean, nobody here is more elected than anybody else, we're all equal. So I do think it's important, if somebody has a dissenting opinion or a different opinion than the others, that they all get passed over, you know, to the committee. I mean, that's how I feel. If you guys feel differently, you know, we can certainly talk about that. So my only goal for today, and to Judith's point, When I asked for that, Judith, that would be at the end, it's because ours is, a little complicated. It's a startup department, and, some of the things were never written before. Now I'm thinking that we might be ready by like November, and the reason I say that is I realize that as the Charter Commission changes language due to us, it may cause you folks to have to go back to, for instance, the town administrator and change some words. So, and you'll see when we look at some of the specifics, I wouldn't want to cramp the Charter Commission style by being at the, now that I've done some
And
work.
it will be a back and forth
Yeah,
for
being
the
at the
whole
very end.
18 months.
Because then you guys would then have to go back, like if it says TA does this, and we agree that in fact it's the superintendent that does that, you know what I mean? You may
Oh,
have
yeah,
to,
no, and
yeah, go back and
And I don't,
forth.
I think that interim, we're looking at like getting everybody's input within
Right.
a few months so
Mhm.
that we can start that
Yeah,
iteration process.
Right.
It's a process.
Yeah,
It's-
Can I
So-
jump in real
Sure.
quick? So Ed is a fountain of information.
yes, he
Like
is. Speaking
Alan.
of fountains.
And so he dug up the reports of the Sewerage Study Committee from 1964
Well,
And-
that's something I haven't read.
and 1965
Uh-huh,
and 1966 and 1967.
wow.
1967 could possibly be used as a preamble to the Charter
I
Commission.
can't wait to hear
It
this.
says, your Harwich Sewer Study Committee still feels very strongly that the town should go ahead and have construction plans drawn immediately. However, the planning board and the Board of Selectmen disagree, so we are waiting long-range plans being drawn by Metcalf and Eddy for the planning board before inserting another article in the town warrant. Therefore, your Sewage Study Committee will withdraw its nasty, stinking little cesspool for another year. And
Wow.
so, I mean, this is just a little,
That's interesting.
that's just a little bit of history.
Yeah.
It shows,
Read the PS.
oh, the PS, yes, PS, we hope that the selectmen will see fit to continue our committee for another year. So,
They didn't.
they, did-
And was this
So
still
this
when
is-
the federal money was available?
This is-
Oh, yeah, this is very controversial.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
did I give you one?
I want to
This
use
is-
this in a play.
It's,
That's
isn't it,
great.
it's great, isn't it?
So what was this in? Was this in the town report?
In the town reports.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's a little bit of history that shows the contentiousness in the
Yeah.
60s that still sort of
Yeah.
exists today in the,
And that, the Frank Thompson there was Frank Thompson of Thompson's Clam Bar.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
so I just think it kind of looks like
Yeah.
we're doing our homework,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know?
How
So-
interesting.
So, this is my theory, but please, I'm only looking from my point of view. I want to hear everybody's, I'm sure somebody has a better idea than me.
I don't know.
But, I'm thinking, that maybe we take today and try to identify a few of the topics that we want to talk about, and then have this on our agenda for at least the next 2 meetings, maybe 3, whatever we need, more or less. And this is just what I'm thinking, so I'll throw it out there so you guys can beat it up. And then I'm thinking, then we don't know where we'll stand at the end, but wherever we stand, I'm thinking maybe we submit, a list of like, these are the 4 concerns from the existing charter. I'm just making this up, but, well, not right now, I've thought about it, and then have, everybody, one might be, everybody on the board thinks this is the best way to go for one. For the next one might be, there are dissenting opinions, some board members think this, and some board members think that. That's just what I'm thinking, because ultimately the Charter Commission is then going to take this, and then they're going to decide, we don't rule them, they're going to decide what they put in the version of the charter they're putting forward, with input back and forth, but nevertheless. So I guess I'm trying to stay away from the thing where like we look at a topic and then vote and it's 3-2 and those 2 thoughts get lost. I don't think this is a place this is a situation where those two thoughts should get lost. I think they should be passed on.
Sure, I mean,
You know.
I think it's an open discussion.
Yeah.
but,
You know, so, all right.
And for my part,
Yeah.
the Charter Commission, which I serve on, didn't think it was a conflict for me to be
Oh,
in
yeah, I
our
don't either. I
discussion.
meant to tell you that, yeah.
But I do think that it will be a conflict for me to speak on the Charter Commission once we as a group submit our feedback, because I don't want to influence.
Right.
Does that make sense?
I'm
I
gonna
just wanted to put that out
I'm gonna
there.
disagree with you,
Oh,
and I'll tell
okay.
you why. But also, you know, whatever you decide to do ethically is your own decision, so this is just my opinion. But the way I look at it is, this group of people that makes up this board will come and go. The charter will go on for 40 or 50 years. You know, there'll be another 5 people that are the
Yeah.
water commissioners, then another 5, and there were 5 before. So I don't see that Judith Underwood's thoughts are a conflict with something like the charter. I mean, that's how I feel, it's clear as a
No, no,
bell to me.
I meant it in the sense of, I didn't want to be overly influencing how the Charter Commission takes into account our feedback. Does that
And I
make-
would
I don't
disagree
think-
with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think they
I
would.
don't think so at all.
Okay.
I
That's
think
true.
it's-
and all-
Actually, knowing the,
It's
knowing the
pertinent.
charter, it's, yeah.
Yeah, but also, does that mean that, you know, if there was a library person on the board,
Yeah,
the library
absolutely.
can't talk? Does that mean if the, you know, I think of our boards as being transitory, you know, sorry to diminish us, you know,
Right.
but
But, yeah,
the charter, you know, it's more like a vote, like an act of Congress, you know, I mean, but you have to make your own decision with what you're comfortable with, but I don't see any conflict.
Okay.
I don't either.
I don't see any conflict at all, you know. I heard you say that, but, and they'll have their opinions too, but ultimately,
Yeah, they didn't see a conflict either.
it's your decision, so whatever you're comfortable with is fine. And I want to give out a couple more little things that I found since, so, this item is what the staff and I kind of call our Bible, which is a page. We can share it with Ed too, since he's given us nice old stuff. So this is a page from the executive summary of the comprehensive wastewater plan voted in 2016.
One more, Noreen?
Yeah,
I
sorry.
put one in Alan's packet.
Oh, okay, yeah, and this is really what I consider to be the genesis of the wastewater department as it exists today. This is the language that became the language that's in our charter right now regarding wastewater. So I want you to have that. That was the original idea back in 2016. And then the other thing that I got that was nice enough, our town clerk, Emily Mitchell, supplied me with this. This is the copy of the page to do with, and Tracy might want one of these, I know she has the Bible. Yeah. This is the copy of the page to do with committees and boards of the charter from 2014, because I was curious to see what the language was pertaining to the water department prior to the initiation of language for wastewater. And the most interesting thing I found about this was most of us thought, you know, the language in wastewater talks about the superintendent working cooperatively with the town administrator. And I thought, and I think a lot of people thought, that that language came with the wastewater department. So it's very interesting to see under section 6, section 663, where it says, "The commission shall appoint a water superintendent and shall request this officer to cooperate with and be responsive to requests from the town administrator's office." So it's interesting to know that that language was always in there. It did not come with wastewater. So I just
Should
found
that be, shouldn't that be inserted, water, wastewater?
Well, it's in there. Hang on.
It just says water.
No, this is 2014.
Oh, okay.
Hang on, one at a time. So at any rate, these are reference documents for you while we study this topic. All right. So now let's go to our page of the charter, which is in your packet. So that's going to be this page that I'll call C14. Let me take a minute.
What was that?
Huh?
Is there an article number or reference?
It says, I'm not sure what it says, but it says charter, I think. There were dividers, it would be after my letter, and then there would be divider. It won't take you long to get there. Keep going. You just found it. What's the divider before that say for their help? Right there,
I'm trying to get there.
yeah.
It's old business.
It's old business,
Charter
D,
Commission.
Charter Commission discussion, number 2. There would be my letter first.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be after that page.
Yeah, it should be right after that one. That's
Yep,
it.
there you go. There you.
And this is the current charter.
This is the current, this is May 2023. Where are you, honey?
On the right one?
No, go back a little bit, get him back now.
Right up next
You
one.
know,
Keep going.
Keep going.
No,
no,
no, flip that
no,
one.
no.
One
Keep
more?
going. One more. Okay. So, I mean, as I'm suggesting that we, identify or define or list our topics from this in some fashion. If people think that's a good way to go.
Yeah.
Let's not try to discuss the whole thing in one day.
I was gonna say, what are you looking for here?
Well, I'm looking to not go too deep into it today, because this is like the introduction and given time, but to identify some areas that we want to discuss, so we can have it on our agenda for a couple of meetings, and then we'll do whatever we think is right, some kind of a summary, a list. We can vote if we want to. I mean, whatever we feel like at the end of October, say around Halloween, or even after that if we need more time, and then turn that into the current Charter Commission and say, okay, you heard our initial thoughts, this is now, we've had time to discuss, and this is where we think we stand on some of these things, and at your convenience, we're ready to be called in for a joint meeting and proceed. And our audience looks troubled.
Yeah, no,
Oh, okay.
And can I just jump
Sure,
in with one
please.
thing? So one of the things, and if you watch the meetings or
Yeah.
come to the meetings, you'll see this. One of the things we are focusing in on is certain words, like the
Yeah.
word shall.
Mhm.
We want to change that to the equivalent of must,
Yeah,
so that there's no interpretation,
Right.
that it's something that has to be done.
So, like you're saying here, must work cooperatively with the town administrator,
Yes.
for example?
Well, that would be yes.
I
If
mean,
we
I don't want to
could-
get too deep, but I do have a concern here, because I feel like it isn't clear still.
It's not,
So,
but
let me just throw out an example. I know you're going to say I'm getting too deep, but with the last TA, we had a problem with this employees being assigned or taken from the
Right.
wastewater. So then this language says they must cooperate. What if we get to the point where we say we want 2 more positions, the TA says no? Can we take it to town meeting and say that we need the positions? I mean, do you reach an end of cooperation?
so So my point in saying that is, so something that's hard and fast, like to be elected, right?
Mhm.
That would definitely be a must be elected as opposed to appointed, for example. But these are things to be thinking about as a group, how we want that to read. But to find the words that are just hard and fast so that nobody can come in and say, well, you said must, as opposed to shall, which leaves it, and maybe we want to leave it shall in some cases. I'm just throwing that out there.
If that's your job, I'll defer to you.
Well, I think it's important that we as a commission think about that before we, like, how do we want the world to view us?
I agree.
Okay, so, since I'm compulsive, I'm gonna start with the easy ones. If you don't
Which is
mind.
good, yeah.
'Cause that's how my brain works. So, I mean, I don't think anybody here is gonna suggest that the board should be less than or more than 5.
Well,
5 is
I-
manageable.
I agree, but
Right.
it's,
I mean, the charter commission can certainly take that up and talk about it and decide whatever you want. I'm just talking to these 4 individuals, and I'm just asking that question. I mean, I'm happy with 5.
Yeah.
So nobody has any, and that's the first line here, so that's why I say I'm starting at the beginning. So 661 is a water and wastewater commission of 5 members shall be elected for 3-year overlapping terms. I think that's cool. Okay, an issue that came up a few years ago, and definitely came up 10 years ago, was the fact that, I mentioned it in my letter, that it doesn't state in here that we have the right to, pardon me, Jason, don't get nervous, that we have the right to remove the superintendent. It states clearly that we appoint him, but we do not have the right of removal. Nor does the library, and I'll be mentioning the library a lot because they have an elected board, so there are some similarities, not all. But, you know, that's their own issue. But I think this is an opportunity to make that clear. There was a situation 10 years ago when the board, they were water commissioners only, they did not have the right to remove the water superintendent at the time, who needed to be removed.
There's nothing in there that says for cause.
Well, can at all, we can just put it in, you know, we can ask that it be put in. You know, what it does, you know, it talks about the TA can remove employees. And our previous TA, not that we have to have everything, you know, in reaction to that period, but he
I
used
think it's a good learning.
Yeah, he used to say that very often, that, you know, I can remove
Yeah.
them, you can't, you know. But at any rate, it's not in the charter, we can't. It only says we appoint.
And see,
So,
that's why we're different in a sense from the library, because the library isn't necessarily growing. You know, it's not adding a whole other component, which is
Yeah.
wastewater. And so we come up against that a lot, it seems to me, that as this continues to grow, that this department should have a little more weight.
right, well, I mean, I think they should have it too, quite honestly. I mean, they're an whatever, I mean, they're big kids, they can do what they want, you know, but they're an elected board, they appoint their own director, why shouldn't they be able to, you know, remove? But that's their own,
Right, but they're not, like, let's say, for some reason, the whole town wants to go sewer now.
yeah.
They get millions of dollars to do it, and suddenly we're now being thrown, the whole town.
Right.
And we have no employees to handle that.
You know,
And the
Bob-
TA says, well, tough.
Bob and I have the worst habit of agreeing, and we argue about it, you know, because it sounds like we're saying the same thing. I mean,
Okay.
we both want to be able to remove, is that correct?
I want us to be able to add, if the
Well,
superintendent comes and
we're
says,
gonna
I
get
need
to
5
that.
more
But
people.
right now, we're on remove, we're not going to add any more superintendents.
No,
Right, so we're talking about the superintendent, and we're talking about being able to fire him. I mean,
okay.
that's,
yeah, because currently under the charter, the town administrator oversees any and all employees, other than senior positions like the superintendent and the head of the library, police department and fire department are
So
still
the
under
TA
the,
can't fire them.
What?
The TA can't fire them.
the TA could suggest to the select board that
That what?
that they could be fired, but they'd have no control over that, is my understanding.
I'm not
It's the
following.
select board that can only remove those.
Well, I'm not an expert on those. I'm only an expert on, Jason.
So I think it's only the select board that can remove a water wastewater
Right,
superintendent.
and that's what I want to correct.
You
I-
want to
I
make
wanna
that
correct
under
that.
the TA?
No, I
You
No,
want to make that under the
us.
Us.
All right.
Yeah.
I won't say no to that. I don't know that.
I know I'm using, well, we appoint, I can't imagine somebody else removing somebody when we're the appointing authority.
I won't disagree with you at all.
We went through
But-
the interview process.
Yeah.
Right.
The select board wouldn't.
So why are we arguing?
But
I'm not-
we
agree.
did not hire him. We appointed him. He was hired by the town administrator. We didn't, if you watched the last meeting,
I
this
did,
is
I watched
something
it, and I
where,
heard you say that.
Yeah.
But I didn't agree
But
with
the
it.
town administrator didn't do any of the interviewing process
correct.
or
I don't
approving.
know why
We made the offer and signed the contract.
And the word hiring, the word appointment are words that we're working on as
Right.
well. Because so right now, the understanding is it's still the,
All right, I'll wait, I'm waiting.
So we want to fire him.
where did
too.
you get your, Jason, did you put in the letter
Yeah.
to hire, to officially hire him?
Let me speak for a minute.
Yeah,
Okay, so I heard your words.
Yeah.
And I didn't totally agree with them, but I think I gave you the wrong impression, all right? So last year, remember, we had no previous chair who had been through a hiring process. Gary was no advice. There was Dan had not been through a hiring process. Dan and Gary came together.
well, Dan had been hired.
Hang
but-
on, there was no manual. The only information I could really get was like Sandy, and the staff was a big help. They were the ones who had been here. So at any rate, I think I gave you the impression that there was going to be some kind of an approval process from uptown, and what happened was there was none. In other words, we made an offer, the 5 of us voted on an offer, and we voted to make that offer and have me sign the letter. We composed that in a letter with the rate, with everything. We met with the applicant in executive session in an office, the 5 of us.
Right.
Made him that offer, and he signed it in front of us. That's when we hired Jason, because it was all said pending. It had the Corey stuff with it, it had everything with it, and when that went uptown, I didn't know if they were gonna say this or that, and they said, hey, it's your ball game.
I remember that
The
too.
only thing that we made sure we did, which didn't cause a controversy, was we did stay within the same step. Within the same grade. We chose the step, but we went along with the collective bargaining process where the water wastewater superintendent was assigned as an M8, is it? M8, I think, yeah. So we stayed within there, but we did everything else. We hired him.
And the TA did not sign something?
Yeah, they signed it, but I,
And that's, yeah.
well, you guys can sort that out. I mean,
Yeah.
As far as this board goes, we definitely, appoint, the charter says.
I'm not disagreeing with
Yeah,
you.
I got
Yeah.
you. The charter says, the Water and Wastewater Commission shall appoint a water and wastewater superintendent.
And so the discussion was, well, what does appoint mean versus
Right.
what does hire?
And
So there's a legal process, and maybe we met the legal process with that letter and with Jason signing on. And that's the kind of stuff that we
Right.
just want, we want
right,
written out in the charter, so
Right.
that this is
And-
not a,
I guess my thing is, I consider that more your guys to
Right.
decide. You know what I mean? Not really our board. I mean, we can tell you what we think, but it's really the charter commission that's gonna decide about like appoint or hire. You
Well, I-
guys are bigger than us.
To an extent.
I think it's important that we make arguments as
Yeah.
a commission of why we should be appointing and hiring, however that's articulated.
Right.
We are doing the legal, bringing him on board, and if there is a problem, we are the legal entity to release him from that
Right.
contract.
Yeah.
Because the TA and, they were not involved in the committee to hire him or the search committee.
Right.
Nothing.
So it was all us.
Right.
And I think that should stay that way. That's
So-
my comment.
I won't disagree with
I
you,
think
because
we're
I.
in agreement. We
yeah.
can say appoint or hire and let
Or
charter
and hire.
commission sort it
Appoint
out.
and hire.
Appoint
Whatever.
and
I
hire.
don't-
Yeah, that
doesn't matter
covers
to
all
me.
the, it's the idea, so we're trying to figure out,
But,
is it a strong town management?
right.
Or are there certain pieces, like we're an enterprise fund,
Right.
Okay, but I want to get the word remove in here. That's
Okay.
my issue, is that I want to say, for instance,
And also the other thing is, does that mean that we are the reviewing body? Because
Yeah.
right,
Yes, we
Okay.
just reviewed.
only,
yeah,
not the
Yes.
TA.
just like we
No.
hired, or appointed,
You
or
know-
whatever you want to call it.
Because right now, all of our stuff goes up to the TA.
That's a payroll function. I mean, I'll let you guys figure that out.
Let's make that crystal clear in our language.
Well, maybe,
It's
Okay,
because
I mean,
the way the perception is that, yes, we do the review, it's very intensive, but at the end of the day, the TA can still,
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. We're
I
elected.
agree with you guys,
We're
but
duly
the
elected.
perception is because it's not hard and fast in here. So let's
Okay.
find language to make it hard and
But
fast.
we're duly
All right,
elected.
so-
I don't feel I'm under the TA
Right.
in any way, shape, or form.
And let me just say this.
I
If
won't
other
disagree
people-
with you,
all right,
but
if
we
other
just need the
people-
language.
If other people have certain signing functions afterwards, unless somebody else defines that from the point of view of the TA, the select board, they can explain that. I don't consider that approval. When you're dealing with a payroll process, you have many people sign things. Some are signing like, is it in the right grade level, for collective bargaining? Has all of the quarry documentation been turned in?
Or
I don't consider
retirement,
it necessarily as, that they're gonna say, no, Judith, you can't hire them. That never crossed my mind that somebody can say, no. And also, here's another piece of information. Normally, you know how the TA on any department head, or it might even be anybody, that the TA makes that announcement at a select board meeting, and then the select board has, I don't know the exact number of days, but like 9 days to either affirm that decision or deny it. We did not go through that process. I went to public comment as the chair and announced that we had hired and appointed a superintendent. There was no discussion from the select board, the TA, or anybody else. So, I mean,
So let's figure out good language
Yeah.
that affirms
Strong.
all of that, strong language that's like,
Don't say things like, I don't disagree with you. That's a double negative,
okay,
isn't it?
I agree with the way you're looking at this, absolutely. As a member of this commission, as a member of the other group, I implore us as a commission to find language that completely articulates that without any attorney for the town that could come in and twist
Okay.
it.
so we are talking, just to be clear, because we have to, that's why we aren't trying to do this all in one meeting. We are talking about the line in 663, and only half of the sentence, because the other half is a whole different discussion. We're talking about the half that says the Water and Wastewater Commission shall appoint a water and wastewater superintendent. So we're talking about shall appoint.
And hire.
Well,
money.
we're not gonna, please God, try to design the language right
Yes,
this minute.
oh, okay.
Are we? Well,
Why
maybe
not?
we are, okay. Shall appoint.
Will appoint.
All right. Hey, you know, I'll tell you, I've made myself clear, as long as we get the word remove in there, I'm happy. Because I don't want any other body coming along and saying they're gonna remove our superintendent.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So where does the select board fit into this?
It
They
doesn't.
don't.
Why
But
would,
he, for the planning piece, is Jason,
Are you talking about the end of the sentence? I haven't even got there yet, I'm not going there today. Who shall work cooperatively with the town administrator, is that what you're talking about?
no, I'm talking about the select board's duties of planning wastewater in the town?
that's separate from
It's
us.
not part of our purview.
And is Jason,
No, he's not part of that.
so this was just, that was just extra stuff that Dan was doing
That's
back in the
right.
day?
That's right.
All right,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, and we
That's-
made, excuse me one second, we made that break last May.
And it's
We made that
cut,
crystal clear, it's
clear,
cut,
clear. Okay.
it's clear, it can never be put back together.
Okay.
But- Hi, Ed.
So the select board has nothing to do at all with the hiring? In other words,
No.
you're going to the select board and announcing that was just a courtesy for
Courtesy.
everybody,
For the town,
for the town?
Yeah.
Okay.
because they had been curious, you know, when we were gonna get one and everything else, so it was to make it official.
I thought we did it pretty
You
quick.
you also had to go to them to make sure that he got put on the payroll properly.
Yes, we
You
did
know,
that,
because that's,
yeah.
they do.
And that's a payroll function, yeah,
So-
absolutely, all those things, because he is an employee of the town, even though we hired him, poor Jason. You know, we spent all July and April on his evaluation.
He's getting, he's getting right over it.
Rolling into China.
Such a guinea pig,
Yeah, no,
sorry about
you know,
this.
But for
Now
Bob's benefit,
Now
there
we want to
was,
remove you.
I know, there was a water superintendent that had to be fired 10 years ago, so
Yeah.
that was an issue.
I got us back to
That was
1967.
unpleasant.
I know, well, you know the book that you don't like me to mention? It is in there. And I have the acts of 1935 in there, so for the moment, I will hold the crown on this, but,
But that was, that personnel action was unpleasant all around.
yeah.
But, you know, I understand the water and wastewater commissioning department not wanting to be involved in planning and carrying out of the construction project. But it always struck me that you would want to, at some point, be able to review those plans, just so, in case they're doing something that is not going to work for the department.
So he's in weekly meetings, he's part of a task force, he's back and forth to the construction site.
And that comes in with the mention of coordination.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's part of this, which will be discussed in another day, part of the who shall work cooperatively with the town administrator. Yeah,
Right.
so we'll have something in there, I don't know what it will be.
But I just want to stress our independence.
And to that point, and I don't think we should iron this out today.
I don't
The
either.
point that I'm gonna make, I think it's something we need to mull on. Where do the water and wastewater department
We're gonna get there.
employees?
Yeah, I got a whole section on that.
All right, good.
Yeah, I told you I needed a little time to get going, so all right, so it sounds like, you know, obviously we agreed on a 5-member board. I mean, I think this is a good way to go through this, a piece at a time, but we'll see what works. So who do we want to have write some sample language for the shall appoint a water and wastewater superintendent? I think maybe we have a couple of people do it, so then we can have different points of view next meeting, if that's okay with everybody.
Let's have AI do it.
And
Well-
I'd nominate Bob and
Oh, I don't
you?
know if
No.
I should do that, but
I mean, I'll do mine, but I like to have a different point of view too. You know, maybe we come
I
together.
can help, but again, I don't know. Is Alan?
if you'll draft a
I think we leave
paragraph,
Alan alone for right this minute.
Okay.
if somebody will draft a paragraph, we can start going back and forth on. I'd contribute.
I mean, all I'm gonna add is the word remove. I made it clear that's all I care about. You know, the appoint and hire, I consider to be that committee's
Right.
business, but that's just me, you know.
I wonder.
And I don't feel about putting in a charter, everything you said about review and this and blah, blah, blah. To me, that's not charter language. Charter is very up here, but, you know, that's me.
I think
You
that.
know, you guys have been through this more than me, so I'll defer to you.
I think we just add the
library-
word remove,
Do the library, yeah,
you know.
hire, appoint, hire, and
Yeah,
remove.
and remember, this isn't gonna be the final, this is gonna be part of a report that then we'll then discuss in person, we'll have a joint meeting, you
Yeah.
know? So, all right, let me write something out and we'll
Yeah.
see how it flies for a couple of months, all
Good.
right?
Maybe make two examples, one
Yeah.
that's very
All right.
succinct and one that's flowery.
Yeah, okay. We gotta catch Alan up though, you know, because sometimes he'll say, well, Noreen, you shouldn't have gone ahead and done that. It's like, please, I'm just trying to accommodate, you know, but we'll catch him up. All right, so we
I
got
have
through
to get
that
out
one.
of here, you guys. Is that?
Okay.
I'm sorry. but-
All right. You know what I'll do? All right, first of all, this was our last topic anyway.
Okay.
When's our next meeting? Want to do our 3 weeks? That would be the 30th of September.
I should be able to do that.
Okay.
And you should be okay for 9 o'clock, dear?
Yep,
Okay. All right, so our next one will be September 30th. I mean, we can just, I'm fine with leaving this here for now, having you guys look over my letter, because I did identify a few areas in there. I'm not saying my conclusions have to be the same conclusions,
So, yeah.
but also, just so you'll know, I sent them a follow-up where I suggested, number one, they have a process for filling midterm board vacancies, you might as well write it down. And also, the org chart does not address who the employees, your question, Judith, report to, so that's a piece to be fixed. And
that'll be
also,
interesting.
I think we need like our own department section for the department itself, not the board. So maybe I'll do something like, between now and next meeting, if you'll understand that I'm not trying to put words in your face, I'm trying to organize this, maybe I will do a list of topics and send it out.
The one challenge with the employees,
What, dear?
the one challenge with the employees is the negotiation process with the unions that happens with the TA and the unions.
But
Yeah,
So how do we,
and,
because I could have figured it out.
quite
too fast.
honestly, actually, Bob and I had a little discussion about this. I'm not gonna mess with collective bargaining. I mean, I tried for years and now I'm in the flow. But I do feel that we have the right to add employees. However that, but on the other hand, the union takes that up. So that's a whole discussion. You're absolutely right, you know, so, but I'm not fighting for the actual rate of pay part anymore. That's just how I feel. But I am fighting for the ability to develop our own wastewater department without the obstacles that exist today. We'll see if we get any far with that. All right, I'll make a list of topics instead of a letter. And next time, we'll focus on a couple more. And we know that this is gonna be part of our thing, so please be.
Oh, do we need to sign some stuff, or do I need to sign something?
Oh, thank God you said that, yes.
Can I
Let
give you
Bob
this
sign
paper?
first.
Oh, thank you.
So, then,
Bob,
TA
how about you for
report.
yourself?
I'm sorry, I just thought of the TA. It's too much confusion. Superintendent's report,
I'll go really quick now on the superintendent's report, because we covered a lot of it.
yeah.
Route 28 Phase 1, that's the west portion from Mass DOT, there's no news there. They're still putting information together. Station number 10, the new well, I call it Station 10, I gotta call it Station 15.
I know it,
Why am I doing that?
because everybody called it Station
Right,
10
everybody calls it
forever.
Station 10, yeah, so Station 15. I'm currently getting a meeting with Sarah Dingard to find out where we are in the Monomoy Lens. No news on the hydraulic model. Working on a grant with EDR for cybersecurity. That's a $50,000 grant there.
Nice.
From Mass DEP. Hydrant flushing is going to start in October, the 1st of October, so that's good. Chatham has the regulations, and they are voting on them. We're hoping to hear back from them soon.
They haven't televised that meeting yet, that's why I don't know what they did.
Right.
So you want me to just sign this? It doesn't have our names.
Is that the one that has the thing?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I'll
prepared
sign
by
it.
them, so they don't
Okay.
even, yeah.
And,
They don't need, like-
And then the grinder pump certification for the construction companies that can install in Harwich. We have about 18 people right now signed up for the class, so that's good.
Great.
And that's it.
I'm happy to be a reader on the grant application, just for, another set of eyes if you need.
Yeah.
So, commissioners report, Judith,
All good?
all set? John?
Also,
Good, I'm good.
And I'm good. So I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And we are adjourned.